The stringent laws of nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be altered by any living entity. The living entities are eternally under the subjugation of the Almighty Lord. The Lord makes all the laws and orders, and these laws and orders are generally called dharma or religion. No one can create any religious formula. Bona fide religion is to abide by the orders of the Lord. The Lord's orders are clearly declared in the Bhagavad Gita. Everyone should follow him only or his orders, and that will make all happy both materially and spiritually. As long as we are in the material world, our duty is to follow the orders of the Lord, and if by the grace of the Lord we are liberated from the clutches of the material world, then in our liberated stage also we can render transcendental loving service unto the Lord. In our material stage, we can see neither ourselves nor the Lord for want of spiritual vision. But when we are liberated from material affection and are situated in our original spiritual form, we can see both ourselves and the Lord face to face. Mukti means to be reinstated in one's original spiritual status after giving up the material conception of life. Therefore, human life is specifically meant for qualifying ourselves for this spiritual liberty. Unfortunately, under the influence of illusory material energy, we accept the spot life of only a few years as our permanent existence, and thus become illusioned by possessing so-called country, home, land, children, wife, community, wealth, etc., which are false representation created by Maya, illusion. And under the dictation of Maya, we fight with one another to protect these false positions. By cultivating spiritual knowledge, we can realize that we have nothing to do with all this material paraphernalia. Then, at once we become free from material attachment. This clearance of the misgivings of material existence at once takes place by association with the Lord's devotees, who are able to inject the transcendental sound into the depths of the bewildered heart, and thus make one practically liberated from all lamentation and delusion. That is a summary of the pacifying measures for those affected by the reactions of stringent material laws, exhibited in the forms of birth, death, old age and disease, which are insoluble factors of material existence. The victims of war, namely the family members of the Kurus, were lamenting the problems of death, and the Lord pacified them on the basis of knowledge. So in this verse, Srila Prabhupada is beautifully explaining few important points. First of all, Prabhupada is explaining what is dharma. And then Srila Prabhupada explains how, because of illusion, because of bewilderment or material attachment, the living entities are not able to practice dharma. And Srila Prabhupada also gives the remedy for such a bewildered state of existence. He says, the association of the pure devotees of the Lord, who can inject the transcendental sound into the depths of the bewildered heart, is the remedy of this illusion. So we will try to cover some of the aspects in today's class. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining what is dharma in the first portion of purport. He says, to abide by the orders of the God is called dharma. abide by the orders of the Lord. When somebody abides by the orders or the laws, the stringent laws given by the Lord, then it is called dharma. In fact, it is said, dharmantu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. This dharma is sakshat bhagavat pranitam, is not manufactured. Prabhupada also mentions in the same purport, no one can manufacture any kind of religion, because dharma is directly given by the Supreme Lord. And when somebody follows all the orders given by the Supreme Lord, it is said that they are practicing dharma. So Prabhupada gives a very interesting story. Many of us are familiar, but it is very appropriate to recall that story to understand how people can misunderstand dharma. Once in one big city, one rich man decided to build a very beautiful temple. He wanted to build magnificent, beautiful temple to Lord Krishna, and he spent lots of money to build that temple. Very beautiful. In fact, he made sure that the entire temple was built marble. It was a marvelous temple. And after a few months or years of construction, the temple was ready and it was inaugurated. After the inauguration, when the news was spread everywhere, beautiful temple is being built in our city, and very, very beautiful, especially in the evenings when you go, it's nicely lit with lot of fountains and nice place to visit. Lord, go and take blessings. Lot of people started visiting the temple. And very soon the temple management realized that the temple is becoming very dirty. Then they called for a meeting. In the meeting, after a lot of discussions, they realized what is the cause of that problem. How temple is becoming very dirty. In fact, the temple had the road was also a marble road. So they saw that it was becoming very dirty, becoming very difficult to maintain. So then they realized, okay, because the road is also marble road and people are wearing slippers, shoes, and so they're walking on the marble road, that is causing all this problem. So now they came up with the solution. The solution is, first let us build the compound wall to this temple. And we'll also install the gate. And we'll put one board outside of that gate, which says, please leave your footwear here. And to make sure that everyone leaves their shoes and footwear outside of the gate and wash their feet and enter the temple, they also decided to appoint one security guard who will make sure that everyone follows the instruction written on the notice board. So once the compound was built, the notice board was put and the security guard was appointed. Now the management realized the problem is solved. Now everyone is leaving their shoes outside, washing the feet, coming inside. So now temple is very neat, clean, looking very beautiful as they wanted. The problem was solved. After few days, few months passed by. Now the many security guards were changed. Now there were some new security guards who did not know for what purpose he was put there. Now one family of the city decided, oh, it's been very long time. We heard the beautiful temple that we have not visited. So let's go and visit this temple. We heard a lot about this temple. Let's go and visit. So they all decided to visit the temple. They had a very big car. So all the family members got into the car and they came to visit the temple. And as usual in India, we know if you leave the footwear outside the temple, the slipper will disappear somehow mystically. So they decided, let's not leave the slipper outside. Let's leave the slipper inside the car so that they are safe. Once we come back, we can again get them back. So they all left the slippers inside their vehicle. They got down and they started walking inside the temple. They were about to cross the gate. When they are about to cross the gate, the security guard was standing there, very, very rigidly following his duty to make sure that everyone follows the notice board, the instruction. Immediately said, "Stop!" Kalevas. What happened? He said, "You're not allowed to enter the temple." He said, "We are not allowed to enter the temple? Why?" "Read that board," the security guard said. Then the family members read the board. The board said, "Leave your footwear here." Said, "You should leave your footwear here. Where are your footwear?" Then they said, "We left it in the vehicle. Can you not understand? Go and get your footwear." And they all went back. They got their footwear and they left where the instruction was put up. And now the security, "Now you can go inside." So they all went inside. You see, Srila Prabhupada gives this beautiful example to explain how the spirit behind the board, the security guard did not understand. Actually, the spirit behind that board, the instruction, was cleanliness. As long as the temple was neat, clean, and people were able to make it, that's all. That's the goal. But the guard who was standing there, who does not know the spirit behind that instruction, he only wants to follow the instruction as a ritual. Doesn't know what it means. So he makes sure that people leave footwear just below the board. So Prabhupada many times lamented. He was sad that in the present day Kali Yuga, people do not know what is dharma. Just like in this example, the security guard did not understand what is the dharma behind this instruction. He was simply following the ritual dharma. What he was doing is correct. There is nothing wrong that telling the people, "Leave your footwear here," but doesn't know the spirit. The spirit is cleanliness. Like that, Srila Prabhupada many times in his teachings, in his books, he makes it very clear what is dharma. Dharmantu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Dharma is given by the sakshat Bhagavan. And what is that? That dharma in the Srimad Bhagavatam is explained, that it is explained very nicely. Savai pumsa paro dharma yato bhaktir adhokshaje. Savai pumsa paro dharma. What is that paradharma? What is that supreme dharma? Because there are many dharmas. There are many dharmas. Like there is Raja Dharma, Kshatriya Dharma, Brahmana Dharma. If you invite a Brahmana and ask him, "Oh, accept this food," but actually this food is a non-vegetarian food. They say, "Oh, no, this is not Brahmana Dharma to accept this kind of a meat. We can't accept it." So everyone has their dharma. Brahmana Dharma, Kshatriya Dharma, Shudra Dharma, Stri Dharma, Raja Dharma, Putra Dharma, Pitru Dharma, like this, so many dharmas. Out of all this dharma, which is the highest dharma? So here Srimad Bhagavatam is saying, Savai pumsa paro dharma yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. The supreme dharma is that which teaches one how to love God. How to love God. Actually, this word dharma in Sanskrit, every word has a root word. In Sanskrit language, every words, they come from root. The root of this dharma in Sanskrit is dhru. Dhru means that which sustains one's existence. Srila Prabhupada explains this in Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter. The meaning of this dharma's root word, that which sustains one's existence, without which you cannot exist. Like Prabhupada said, in English, they translate this dharma word as religion. And if you see the meaning of the religion, they say it is a kind of faith. They say that I have faith in Hindu dharma. And now I change my faith from such and such dharma to some other dharma. So Prabhupada says this is not the meaning of dharma. The meaning of dharma is that which sustains one's existence, without which you cannot exist. Like Prabhupada gave a very famous examples, the dharma of the sugar is sweet. You cannot think of a sugar without sweet. You cannot think of fire without heat and light. From the same word dhru is a root word, that which sustains. There are many other words. Like for example, from the dhru, dharma comes, like the dhru, dhartri comes. Dhartri means in Sanskrit mother. Mother, she takes care of the children, she takes care of the family. That is why her name is Dhartri. Dhartri means one who sustains, one who takes care. Dharitri means the Mother Earth. Because Mother Earth sustains all of our life, she is also called Dharitri. Dharitri also comes from the same root called Dhru. From the same word Dhru, we also get Dharma. Dharma means that which sustains our existence. Now what is this Dharma which is there in our Vedic literature? Srila Prabhupada explains, by following all these instructions given by the Supreme Lord, we follow Dharma. Dharma means ultimately we achieve that love for God. And here in a very nutshell, Prabhupada explains in this purport, Dharma means to abide by the orders of the Lord. Now, let us understand through the pastime of Lord Krishna in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada translated 10th canto of Bhagavatam in the book, Krishna book. And in this Krishna book, there is a chapter called Delivering the Wives of the Brahmanas who Performed Sacrifices. The chapter 23 of Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains what is the meaning of following Dharma. Everyone is interested to follow Dharma. Especially if somebody is very pious, they don't want to break any Dharma. They want to be very careful that yes, we follow Dharma. And what is that highest Dharma and how some devotees performed that Dharma is very beautifully explained in this chapter, in Krishna book chapter 23rd, in the title, Delivering the Wives of the Brahmanas who Performed the Sacrifices. It begins like this. The morning passed and the cowherd boys were very hungry because they had not eaten breakfast. They immediately approached Krishna and Balaram, said, Dear Krishna and Balaram, you are both all powerful. You can kill many demons. But today we are much afflicted with hunger and this is disturbing us. Please arrange for something that will mitigate our hunger. Actually, Krishna's friends, they got up early in the morning. That day, Krishna, he got up early in the morning. Generally, what used to happen, they get up in the morning, they take bath, they get ready, they take their breakfast, they carry the lunch box, and then they would go for, tending the cows. But today was a special day. Krishna got up very early in the morning, and he called all his friends, and he said, let's go early in the morning today. And they all entered the forest of Vrindavan. The friends didn't know why Krishna is taking us so early in the morning. And because they came without having breakfast, now they started feeling very hungry. And they came to Krishna, Krishna and Balaram, you are expert in killing many demons. But could you please solve our hunger problem? We know that you are expert in killing so many demons, so please, we request you to solve. We are very hungry. Somehow, please give us something. Then Krishna told us, okay, you're all hungry, no problem. somewhere nearby in the forest, some of the village, some Brahmanas who are very, very expert in the Vedic literature. They have scrutinizingly studied the Vedas and they are performing the yajnas. Go to them and tell them that Krishna and Balaram, they are very hungry and ask for some foodstuff. Now the friends of Lord Krishna, they were very happy to hear this. Okay, there is some village and there are a lot of prasadam looks like, let's go and ask. So they come, they figure out where that yajna, that sacrifice was going on, and they approach these Brahmanas, and they are called Yagnik Brahmanas. Yagnik Brahmanas means they are very, very expert in the Vedic, mantras, and they understood what is the Vedas and all that. So they go to them and they request, oh my dear Brahmanas, we request you that Krishna and Balaram, who have come to this forest for tending the cows, they are hungry and we request you to please give some food. Then immediately the Brahmanas who heard this, they became extremely angry. Said, you foolish boys, don't you understand? This food is prepared for the yajna and you are coming and asking for Krishna and Balaram. You don't have common sense that it is kept for offering the yajna. And how dare you village boys, you don't understand what is Veda. You don't understand what is the meaning of yajna. Simply you are hungry and without any shame you are coming and asking that give us the food which is kept for the yajna. Go away from this place. And the village boys were so upset. They were not upset because the Yagnik Brahmanas were scolded them. They were upset because they did not give the food to Krishna and Balaram. So they came back and they narrated what happened to Krishna Balaram. And Krishna, this time, he told, don't worry. Now do one thing. This time, go to the wives of those Brahmanas. Don't go to the Brahmanas. Those people who have studied the Vedas, they know everything of the Vedas. Don't go to them. Go to their wives. And repeat the same thing. That Krishna and Balaram have come and they're very, very hungry and they request for some food. And now this Krishna's friends, they want to abide by the order of Krishna and Balaram. So they come to, this time, to the wives of the Yajna Patnis, the Yajna Brahmanas Patnis, Dvija Patnis. And they come, Matas, they say, my dear mothers, we beg to inform you that Krishna and Balaram have come to the forest early in the morning. They have not taken their breakfast and we also have not taken our breakfast. We are all feeling hungry. And Krishna and Balaram request that if you could give them some food. The moment the Yajna Patnis, the Dvija Patnis heard this, Krishna and Balaram have come and they are feeling hungry and they are requesting for food. Immediately they started packing all the food which they had cooked for big yajnas. They started packing and they started handing over to these boys. Take all this, take gulab jamun, take rasgulla, take this, take that, take everything for Krishna and Balaram. All this is for, they are hungry. And the news reached to the husband, the expert Brahmanas who know the Vedas perfectly, very diligently they have studied. When they came to know that these wives have gone crazy, all that they cooked for the yajna, they are packing everything and they gave it to those village boys called Krishna and Balaram, and they came and they said, what has happened to you people? Don't you know you are committing a great offense? You have cooked all these things for yajna, performing yajna, and now you are giving this to Krishna and Balaram. Try to stop them. They are just trying to stop. You are spoiling our yajna. If you do like this, how will we complete our yajna? But the Dvija Patnis, the wives of the Brahmanas, they were great devotees of Lord Krishna. They were simply interested to follow the orders of Krishna. What was the orders of Krishna? Krishna's order was, go and get food from the wives of the Brahmanas. They were not at all interested in spoiling the yajna and all that. In fact, the husbands of these Dvijapatnis, they warned them, if you do not follow this proper yajna, in between spoil them, disturb the yajna, you will all face the consequence. There will be very, very serious consequence. You will all go to hell. You will have to suffer for this. And they were not at all worried about going to hell, suffering in the hell. Then when the husbands of the Dvijapatnis, they saw, Arey, what has happened to our wives? They're not at all worried, going to hell, getting sinful reaction. Then they started threatening them. If you continue to do this, we will abandon you. No more you will remain as our wife. Divorce you, we will abandon you. And in the Vedic time, if somebody is divorcing, means that's all. Not like nowadays, oh, very good, very nice. My husband problem is solved. So good. I can live very nicely. This was not the understanding. It was very serious. In the Vedic culture, somebody threatening like that, it was like, you heard of a sati. The wife would enter the fire and give up her life. Such a time it was, and the husband is telling, we will abandon you. Even that had no effect on this Dvijapatnis. They were simply interested in following the orders of Lord Krishna. Not only they gave all the food, special food which was cooked for the yajna, they also decided to go with this cowherd boys. Oh, where is Krishna? Where is Balaram? We also want to go and see him. Actually, what had happened was, as Prabhupada mentions in the same purport, very interesting point. How did this Dvijapatnis develop this kind of staunch attraction for Krishna? How did they develop this? So much of attraction, love for Krishna. Prabhupada mentions here in the purport, this is possible by taking the association with the Lord's pure devotees. And how it is possible? Prabhupada mentions, who are able to inject. Injection, when you inject, something goes into you. I remember when I was a child, I was not well, probably I had fever. My father had taken me to doctor, and doctor said, now I'm going to give you injection. That's the mistake he did by telling that. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want an injection. They said, no. They gave injection. And I experienced something entering inside me. Some medicine entered. So what is the medicine that pure devotees are injecting? So Srila Prabhupada says that the pure devotees who are able to inject the transcendental sound. This is the medicine. The medicine that pure devotees inject is the transcendental sound, the spiritual shabda. The spiritual shabda into where do they inject? Into the depth, the deep inside, into the depth of the bewildered heart. Our heart is bewildered. Our heart is, presently is bewildered by so many material attractions, so many material attachments. It is not in a proper condition, it is bewildered. You are not in a position to make any conclusion. But the moment somebody comes in contact with a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, they are capable. Not that simply we come in contact with somebody. You should come in contact with those people who are capable of injecting. Just like you go to some bogus doctor, he is not capable of injecting a proper medicine. We have heard many times, there are so many bogus doctors, you go to them, they simply inject the hot water into your body and take some 300 rupees from you. Prabhupada tells this many times. So many people in the name of doctor, they inject some hot water in the syringe and you feel like, okay, something has gone inside me and my disease is going to be cured. No disease is going to be cured, because the person who injected you is not the bona fide doctor, and the medicine that he injected you is not the bona fide medicine. So here Srila Prabhupada says, when somebody comes in contact with the pure devotee of the Lord, they're capable of injecting the transcendental sound deep inside the bewildered heart. And once that sound goes inside our heart, there is sudden change in our heart and we experience the spiritual attraction to Krishna. So the same thing had happened to the wives of these Brahmanas. Actually, in the Krishna book, it is very nicely mentioned, they used to hear lot of Krishna's pastimes. There used to be a lot of, sadhus, munis, the sages. They used to go on describe what Krishna used to do in Nanda Maharaja's, courtyard in Vrindavan, all that, the pastimes of the gopis and all that. So these people, they were not fortunate enough to live in Vrindavan where Krishna was living, where the gopis were living. They were living little far away. And every day they would hear, today Krishna did like that, today Krishna did like this. And hearing about Krishna is so powerful that Bilva Mangal Thakur describes this in one of this beautiful composition called Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. He mentions there, Bilva Mangal Thakur, what happens when somebody hears this, if somebody get injected the spiritual sound into them. What happens to them? He says, Vikretu Kama Kilagopa Kanya. The Gopa Kanya, the damsels of Vrindavan, the Gopa Kanyas, Vikretu Kama, Vikretu, they wanted to sell, because their job is to go and sell everyday milk, butter, curds, yogurt. This is their job. They make curds, they make butter, they make milk, they have to go out and they have to sell. That is their job, the Gopa Kanya. Vikretu Kama, Kama means this was their desire. Their desire was to sell. What was their desire to sell? Dadhyadikam, dadhi. Dadhi means curds. Adikam, curds, ghee, milk, butter. Like this they wanted to go and sell. Vikretu kama kila gopa kanya dadhyadikam. They wanted to go and sell. So what they do, they carry the pots on their head and they walk on the roads. And when they walk on the roads, like some of you, I don't know whether nowadays, whether we can see this. I remember in my childhood, there used to be people like flower people and some sabji people. When they come, they start calling out, sabji, sabji, tomato, like this they call out to draw your attention. So that those who want sabji, those who want flower, they come out, they stop them and they purchase. So this gopis of Vrindavan, they want to sell curd, milk, butter. So when they go out, they also have to call out. And they're supposed to call out curd, butter, ghee. Like this they were supposed to call out. But what happened? Something very interesting thing happened. They were so absorbed in Krishna's pastimes. They had heard so much about Krishna. Their mind, mohavashat, Vikretu kama kila gopa kanya dadhyadikam mohavashat. They came under the moha, Krishna moha, mohavasha. Vasha means control. And what happened? Because of this, they forgot that they should say curd, milk, and they're walking on the road and they're saying Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. Like that they started calling. They did not call curd, milk, butter, ghee. If you are selling sabji, if you are selling tomato, and you are calling Krishna, Damodara, Govinda, it makes no sense. How will you attract your customers? The gopis forgot. Arey, we have come for a business. Our business is to sell the curd. But they were so absorbed in Krishna's pastime, they forgot to say curd, milk. They started saying Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. So Bilva Mangal Thakur says, that is the power of Krishna and hearing about Krishna. So the same thing has happened to this wives of the Brahmanas. They had heard so much about Krishna. They came to know the same Krishna, the same Balaram has come to the forest which is nearby their house. Their heart was just enchanted. And they started packing everything and they gave to this cowherd boys. And the cowherd boys, along with these wives of the Yagnik Brahmanas, they came to see Krishna. They're very happy this time that they got lots of prasadam for Krishna, Balaram, and even for themselves. And when the wives of these Brahmanas, they started approaching Krishna, they could see Krishna standing very beautifully, putting his hand on the shoulder of Balaram. You have seen this beautiful painting, Krishna. You see many temples, there's a Krishna putting his hand on the shoulder of Balaram and very beautifully standing. And when the wives of the Brahmanas saw this, the form, the beauty of Krishna, they were completely satisfied. They felt all the risk, all that, the going against their husband, going against the so-called dharma, the going against that yajna, all that is worth seeing Krishna and coming. And they exactly saw Krishna how they had heard. Now they came, they were very happy, they saw Krishna and they say, "Oh Krishna, oh our dearmost Lord, we are so happy seeing you." And Krishna said, "Oh, thank you so much, you have given us so much, we are very grateful to you. Now that you have seen me, you can go back." Now the Brahmana, he said, "Oh my dear Lord, how can you give this instruction? How can we go back? We have left everything for you and we have come. In fact, our husband threatened, if you go, you cannot come back. That's our relationship is cut off. We have taken such a risk and come. We have spoiled that very important yajna. That also we have spoiled and we have come here. In all the way our life is doomed. So now we have come to you and you are asking us to go back." Krishna said, you see, actually the wives of the Brahmanas, they were practically demonstrating what is the meaning of dharma. Prabhupada mentions in the same purport, today's purport, that in the Bhagavad Gita it is clearly mentioned what is dharma. Prabhupada says. And what is that? Prabhupada very clearly makes it, "Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha." Krishna says, one should give up all kinds of religions and simply surrender unto me. This is the dharma. All other dharmas are meant to bring you to this dharma. Just like the dharma of the board, dharma of the security guard, the dharma of the compound wall was all meant for one primary dharma, that was cleanliness of the temple. It was all meant for that. So like that, all the dharmas were supposed to bring somebody to the point of surrendering to Krishna. And Krishna himself is giving that instruction. "Sarva dharman parityajyam mam ekam sharanam vraja." Surrender only unto me. And this Dvijapatnis that we read from Krishna book practically demonstrated that. That is dharma. And Prabhupada makes it, this is the meaning of dharma. Dharma is not some kind of a ritual like the security guard was doing. What was dharma for him? His duty, his dharma is to make sure everyone leaves the footwear just below that notice board. He doesn't understand the spirit. The spirit behind all the dharma is to surrender to Krishna. You see? And we understand many pastimes, the many devotees who have demonstrated this. Because this word dharma is a very important topic. In fact, the Mahabharata starts with this question: what is dharma? The whole Mahabharata, the entire discussion, it is said that Mahabharata has got 1 lakh shlokas. You can imagine 1 lakh. Bhagavad Gita has got only 700 shlokas. In that 700 shloka also many people don't read in our own country. Imagine Mahabharata has got 1 lakh. The entire 1 lakh verse Mahabharata is meant to discuss what is dharma. To know what is dharma. Such an important topic it is, dharma. And it is not easy to understand what is dharma. It is so difficult to understand what is dharma. There is one very famous example in Mahabharata. After Pandavas were sent out of Hastinapur and they established their kingdom in Indraprastha. You all know the present Delhi is actually the old Indraprastha. The Pandavas established very, very magnificent, very big kingdom, Indraprastha. Now Duryodhana, Karna, Shakuni, they were all invited for the Rajasuya Yajna, and they saw that they became extremely envious. Oh, we thought these Pandavas are going to be doomed, but here they are with a lot of property and big name, fame. We can't tolerate this. Somehow they wanted to usurp, they wanted to take away all that. So they devised, they schemed a vicious plan. They invited the Pandavas and they said, oh, we want to invite you to our house and we have to give you a treat. You see, when somebody invites you for a treat, we should be very careful. So Duryodhana's plan was something very, very vicious. So he's inviting, come, I want to give you a treat. And when they come for the treat, he also said, okay, now let's play this the gamble. And in the gamble, their idea was very clear. Take away all their property, insult them, make them feel very, very bad. And they also had a very dangerous plan. The dangerous plan was somehow they wanted to insult Draupadi in a very bad manner. This was very clear in the Duryodhana's mind and Shakuni's mind like that. And he devised that gambling in such a manner that finally they made Yudhishthira bet Draupadi in that gambling. And then when Yudhishthira Maharaj lost to Draupadi, Duryodhana was extremely happy. Now I got the chance. Now I will prove who I am. Now he called one attendant, one servant in the palace. Go and tell the Dasi Draupadi to come here. She has lost. Yudhishthira has lost. She is a Dasi. Let her come here. And the servant heart was broken to hear this. My God, how can I go and tell this to such a great lady, Draupadi? What this Duryodhana is saying? He was feeling so guilty, feeling so bad, but his duty is to go and inform. And he goes and he informs Draupadi, like this, Yudhishthira Maharaj has lost you, and now Duryodhana says you have become his Dasi, please come, they are ordering you. And immediately Draupadi says, yes, whatever happens, it is all by the sanction of the Lord. This is the first response she gives. She also exhibits the same instruction that Prabhupada gives. Dharma means abide by the order of the Lord. Draupadi, the first response that comes out of her mouth is, if this is the order of the Lord, if this is sanctioned by the Lord, I will obey that. But I have a doubt. The doubt is that I want to know, how did Yudhishthira Maharaj lose me when he himself had lost? So this is the question about his dharma I want to know. Then the servant comes back. Then Duryodhana is anxiously waiting. Where is Draupadi? He says, no, Draupadi has not come, but she has sent one question to the assembly. What is her question? Then he says such and such question. Then immediately everybody start discussing. Yes. Some people said, yes, Draupadi is right. Some people say, Draupadi is wrong. All kinds of discussion starts. Then Duryodhana sees, my plan is somehow getting spoiled. What is this dharma? What is this discussion? I'm not interested in this discussion. Then he says, go and tell the Dasi Draupadi to come. And she herself asked this question. Then this time this attendant is he's feeling so bad. How can I go and inform this? Then Duryodhana, who sees this, he says, this attendant, he is afraid of Bhima. That is why he is not going. Actually, that attendant was not afraid of anyone. He was afraid of dharma. He was afraid of adharma, doing adharma. But Duryodhana, in whole life, his life is a Bhima-centric life. Anything he does, he wants to prove something to Bhima. So now he wants to tell the whole world, I am not afraid of Bhima. This servant is afraid of Bhima. Then he said, if you don't go, Dushyasana will go. So he sends Dushyasana, go and bring Draupadi. When Draupadi comes, of course you all know this, you have seen this vividly in many this thing. Then Draupadi comes, she puts forward this question, what kind of dharma it is? Please answer my question. And for all of your information, nobody is able to answer her question. Bhishma, Drona, Vidura, Dhritarashtra, her own husbands, everyone becomes conscious of their own particular dharma. Yudhishthira Maharaj becomes aware, oh, this is my dharma. Then Dhritarashtra becomes conscious of, as a Raja, this is important that Dasi, you must follow. This is as a Raja, this is my dharma. Then everybody gives their own dharma interpretation, but Draupadi, she understands all these people are simply caught in the technicalities or in the ritual understanding of dharma. They don't know what is dharma. Then finally, when she understands, these people have no capacity to tell me what is dharma. They are not able to protect me. Then Draupadi does something very extraordinary. And what is that? Sarva dharman parityajam mamekam sharanam vraja. Sarva dharman parityajya. She abandoned all those religions which people explained in the so-called assembly. In the so-called assembly, so many people try to give her so many explanation of dharma. This dharma, that dharma, why you should follow now Dasi, this, that. She says, get lost. I abandon all this dharma. I only know one dharma. What is that? Surrender to my Lord Krishna. Sarva dharman parityajam mam ekam sharanam vraja. Let me take shelter of my Lord. Let me surrender unto Him. And you all know, she raised her hands. She said, oh my dear Lord, I know none of these dharmas can protect me. The only dharma that can protect me now is the dharma that I can surrender unto you. And when she surrenders, as Krishna promises, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami macha. Do not fear, I will protect you. And Krishna immediately protects Draupadi. So like this, this dharma is such a topic that many people are not able to understand. And Srila Prabhupada makes it very clear throughout his, writings, teachings, classes, conversations, that dharma means to abide by the instruction of the Lord. And instruction of the Lord is to surrender unto me, perform loving service unto me. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Become my devotee, think of me. This is the highest dharma. After entire Mahabharata war is over, now Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling very sad. Oh my God, because of me, so many people are killed. Because of this, so many people are dead. Did I really follow dharma or did I do any adharma? I want to go and clarify. So he goes to first Krishna, Supreme Lord Krishna. Then Krishna had a plan. He says, he tells something and he tells Yudhishthira Maharaj, why don't you go and approach Bhishma? Why don't you approach him? He will explain to you what is dharma. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj comes to Bhishma. Bhishma was in the Kurukshetra. He was on the arrow bed. He was waiting for Makara Sankranti to leave his body. And he asks, and Bhishma gives elaborate description of dharma. He explains varieties of dharma. Stri dharma, putra dharma, vaishya dharma, kshatriya dharma, brahmana dharma, kula dharmas. So many dharmas he explains. And after hearing all the explanation of dharma, then Yudhishthira Maharaj asked one very important question. What is that question? That is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is like this. Shrutva dharma sheshena pavanani cha sarvashaha. Yudhishthira Maharaj says, Shrutva dharma asheshena. Ashesha means now there is nothing left to ask. Shesha means something has left. Ashesha means complete. He has completed everything about dharma. He has heard all the explanation from Bhishma about all kinds of dharma. Shutva dharma sheshena pavanani cha sarvashaha. Sarvashaha, all kinds of explanation. Yudhishthiraha shantanavam punar evabhyabhashata. Now Yudhishthira punar evabhya is again started speaking. He's not satisfied. He again wants to ask. What is that he is asking? Yudhishthira uvacha. He says, Ko dharma sarva dharmanam bhavata paramo mataha. He's asking, Ko dharma sarva dharmanam. Ko dharma. Which is that dharma? Sarva dharmanam. Among all the dharmas that so far you have explained. Oh my dear Bhishma Pitamaha, you explained me so many dharmas. So many. Such a long, description of dharmas. But now I want to know, now I am confused. Ko dharma, which is that dharma? Ko dharma sarva dharmanam bhavata paramo mataha. Bhavataha paramamataha, which is considered the supreme dharma. Of course, you explained in so many varieties of dharma. Which is that parama dharma, supreme dharma? Kim japan muchyate jantur janma samsara bandhanat. He asked, by practicing which? Samsara, it is said that janma samsara bandhanat. One can get rid of this janma, samsara, all that we can get rid. Can you please tell which is that dharma? Then Bhishma answers. Bhishma uvacha esha me sarva dharmanam dharmadhikattamo mataha. Esha me sarva dharmanam. Eshaha, in Sanskrit esha means plural. Among all this dharma that I have explained to you, Bhishma is answering, sarva dharmanam, among all this dharma, dharma adhikatamo mataha, there is one supreme dharma. And he says, what is that dharma? The supreme dharma? Yad bhakto pundarikaksham stuvyarchanair narasada. That he said that worshipping, becoming devotee of Pundarikaksha, the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is standing right in front of you. And you are asking me this question. Becoming devotee of this Krishna, that is the highest dharma. And he continues. It's not a full explanation. He continues. Yani namani gaunani vikhyatani mahatmanaha. The next stage of the dharma is the holy names of that Pundarikaksha. The holy names of that Pundarikaksha. Yani namani. Namani, the holy names of this Pundarikaksha. Vikhyatani mahatmanaha. As explained by the Mahatma. Vikhyatani. Khyata, they are very famous. The holy names of this Pundarikaksha, as described by Mahatmas. Rishibhir parigitani tani vakshyami bhupate. He says, this is glorified by Rishibhis, the great sages. Parigitani, they continuously glorify. What do they glorify? They glorify the holy names of the Lord. And now let me tell you about that holy name. And he says, Tasya loka pradhanasya jagannathasya bhupate. He says, such a Lord who is Jagannatha, who is the head of everything, Vishnu nama sahasram me shrunu papa bhayapaham. He says that you ask now how we can get rid of the samsara, janma, bhaya, apaham. Apaha means extinguish. Just like fire extinguish. When you get that fire extinguish, it will extinguish the fire. Like that, when you start chanting the holy names of the Supreme Lord Krishna, Pundarikaksha, the Lord Krishna, it has the capacity to extinguish all kinds of fears of this material world. And this chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna is considered dharma adhikamataha, the supreme, religion. And we know how Srila Prabhupada in ISKCON, not only just in ISKCON, in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, this essence, the essence that Supreme Lord, we should surrender unto Him. We must make Krishna as the life and soul of our life and chant His holy name. Chanting the holy name of the life is the highest form of dharma, as described by one of the Mahajana Bhishma. In fact, in the Mahabharata, again it is mentioned that tarko apratishtaha shutayo vibhinnaha. It is said how to understand dharma. Dharma cannot be understood in an ordinary way. It is not possible. The moment you start arguing, you'll come up with so many kinds of argument. You'll not reach any conclusion. The only way to understand the dharma is Mahajanayena gatasya pantaha dharmasya nihitam. He says the tattva, the secret of dharma is there in the heart of the pure devotees. When you follow the pure devotees, as Prabhupada said, they can inject the transcendental, the essence of the dharma into our heart so that we can practice. From the day one somebody visits ISKCON, you will see that this highest dharma is given to them. There is no confusion. There is no some kind of a discussion. People go with, I don't know what to do. No. Very clear. What is the clarity? That we must chant the holy names of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this is considered the highest dharma. And when you chant this Hare Krishna mantra, every day without fail, as Prabhupada has explained, that 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra, we must know that I am practicing the highest dharma, and Krishna is completely happy with that. So this is a sum and substance of all the dharma. And when you practice that, you will slowly make advancement. And the day will come, we completely practice that the gopis in the Vrindavan, what they practice, the surrender to Krishna. The wives of the Brahmanas, they surrender to Krishna. That stage of complete surrender to Krishna is possible to all of us simply by practicing this, highest dharma of chanting the holy name of the Lord. So let's stop here. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.